Keep a fire burning red and a Judicial representing for comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like you like come son. Red.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can have in money. Money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can have in money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruption over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Brickford, Bork, and Mark Benchcop, David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam, Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London, Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, Poor People Governor, Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson, Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Comes audio son. You burn this wine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongue, you're looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, mwah. Listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work. But everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Dam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Rheinveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
It's the PNCR fundraising bingo on Sunday, the 27th of October at Congress Place of Fire from 2 p.m. Over $5 million to be won. There will be 20 straight games at $100,000 per game, 3 letter games at $200,000 per game, 3 coverall games at $1 million per game. Tickets are $6,000. 1 ticket gets you 6 playing cards. Remember, it's the PNCR Big Fundraising Bingo on Sunday, the 27th of October at Congress Place of Fire from 2 p.m.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongue, you're looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, mwah. Listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work, but everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Dam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you.
I want to go home. I can't stay no longer in Rome. I want to go home. I can't stay no longer in Rome. Rome is for the Roman, and Rome is not for me. So take me back to the land where I can get my liberty. Oh, Lord, I want to go home. Oh, Lord, I can't stay no longer in Rome. From since I was a kid, they have had me down as slave. Keep pushing me every day until they push me out of the way. Oh, I want to go home. Oh, I can't stay no longer in Rome. Since I was a kid, they have had me down as slave. Keep pushing me every day until they push me out of the way. Oh, I want to go home. Oh, I can't stay no longer in Rome. Yeah. Oh, I said you know. I can't stay no longer in Rome. I want to go home. I can't stay no longer in Rome. I want to go home. I can't stay no longer in Rome. Rome is for the Roman, and Rome is not for me. So take me back to the land where I can get my liberty. Oh, Lord, I want to go home.
I really hope you get answers. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is 7 hours 32 on the 8th day of October in the year 2024. That means 28 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour on October 8th, 2024. Welcome to the program. How you been? How was your yesterday? How was your last night? It's now 12 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. We got more voice notes. I don't like competition. Good. How was your last night? Which side of the bed you wake up on this morning? What are your smart goals for today? What goals have you set for today? What do you intend to achieve today? All of that and more I want to know.
I can't stay no longer in road. I want to go. I can't stay no longer in road. Road is for the road, and road is not for me. So take me back to the land where I get my liberty. Oh, I want to go. Oh, I can't stay no longer in road. From since I was a kid, yeah, I've had me love that stay. Keep pushing me every want to go on the road, and road is not for me. take me back to the land where I can get my liberty. Oh, I want to go.
The fire burning red in a Judicial representing of a comes audience. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go like you like come son. Red.
Yes. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. How are you doing? How are you being? How are you making out? All them things I want to know. I think I just lost my way. But I shall find my way again. Oh, yes, here I am. I don't like when this happens. Anyways, I found my way. What's going on for y'all? What's happening for you guys? Yes, here we are. So, how was you yesterday? How was you last night? How was you this morning? What plans you have? What are your smart goals? This morning, I don't want to talk too long, you know. I want to talk to you all about the poor man, small man sufferation. Every now and again, I tell you about how the small man is feeling it. And I think I have a responsibility to remind you ever so often that only the small man feels it. The many times when I tell you those stories through the eyes of others, and today I will do no differently. Right? You see, they say cricket is a great unifier. Guyanese become Guyanese when they got cricket. Not every time they got cricket though. Because when the West Indies play in India, Guyanese are not Guyanese. Right? They got division among the spectators. Indo-Guyanese would bad for India when they're playing even against the West Indies. Y'all can check that out. That's a fact. But if you want to see Guyanese congregate in large numbers from all ethnicity and so on and so forth, go to a cricket match, man. They might just drink from out of the same cup. They might just eat out of the same bowl. And so on and so forth. They might just fight up together. All of that. Even the poorest of the poor, when it comes to cricket in this country, tries to buy a ticket or tries to get a ticket to turn out to cricket. Because cricket is within. Bat and ball. Especially big men. Big men like play with balls. And so, if you look at what has been happening over the years in this country with cricket, you will find out, first and foremost, there's a lot of division. There's a lot of racism in local cricket. For you to make the team, the national team especially, as an Afro-Guyanese, you have to be extremely good. Go to the point that they can't do without you. That kind of good. If you look at where the cricketing facilities are developed, where the big money is spent to develop the cricketing facilities, you will realize that it is predominantly Indo-Guyanese area. Last year or the year before that, you remember me talking on this program about what they did to the Buxton playground, Buxton community ground. Batty Lion destroyed that ground.
a ground that had a solid zinc fence, broke it down, and replaced it with chain link fencing. A ground that the youngsters in the area developed through the Carluco Cricket Club and so on. A pitch, and they used to have their weekend practices and so on. They allowed only footballers, or they gave footballers a preference on that ground, and technically forced out those who were interested in cricket on the ground. Carluco Club was the only, I think, first division cricket club on the East Coast. And they were well ranked nationally. And they were disadvantaged by the destruction of the pitch section. As a matter of fact, more than that happened. People's lives were threatened by friends of the PPP, friends of Ramsden, because they spoke about the discrimination on the use of the ground. I remember Border Ground. Border Ground is, I can't even say a shadow of itself now. That had its own fight with tenacity and all of them, I think. But look around and you will see that infrastructure to support cricket, especially, is not generally invested in our Guyanese community. As a matter of fact, infrastructure to support sports in general is not generally invested in our Guyanese community. What is not the main point of my discourse this morning? The main point of my discourse is a post that was made by Melly Mel. And y'all gonna tell me, Mr. Ansel, we see the post already, yeah? I always tell you that, listen, every man kisses his wife differently. And sometimes although somebody kiss the topic, I like to go and kiss it myself. This post here is from Melly Mel, like I said. And what is it about? It is about the ex-media worker who pleads guilty to cocaine trafficking, right? And was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Y'all remember that story? Zanil Nemala Williams, right? April 23rd, 2022 is when that mugshot was taken. Now, jail is only for the poor in Guyana. Once your family in government, you could get away with murder. Anybody else would have been in jail. I know people serving 2 and 3 years for a joint. This is the one Guyana they'll be talking about. Now, let me give you some context to this matter here. Those of you who are new to it. Y'all want to know which one is Zanil? This is Zanil. Zanil is to the far right of the photograph. My screen right might be your screen left. I think it's usually reversed. Right? For clearer identification, Zanil is the young lady with the gray bag. Is that gray? Side purse, they call it. Whatever they call it. Checkbook, whatever. But the young lady with the gray, is that some skin she is showing there? Yes, it seems as though she has on a short black pants. That's Zanil. Zanil Williams. Now, Zanil Williams is the niece, I understand, of Sonia Parag. Nothing new there, right? Nothing new there. But here, when Zanil was arrested, back then, the first thing they said is that she was mental. She had to be sent for a psychological evaluation. They said she was mental. So Dr. Biari had to check out her head and so. Maybe that didn't work as well as they wanted it to. Eventually, case call and so on, and she was sentenced to 4 years. Now note, that matter was 2022. March 2022, thereabout. We are in October 2024. How many years are we talking about? I think less than 2, right? Because March 2022, or just over 2 years. March 2022 to March 2023 to March 2024, just about 2 years. 2 years, 8 months, there, about 3 and 6 is 9, 10, about 30 months. Now, from my understanding, a prison sentence is, when you're sentenced a year, it's not 12 months. I think it used to be 9 months. Right? I don't know, the prison authorities can correct me on this, but I think when I was growing up, I was told a prison year is 9 months. So 4 years would be 36 months. But in just about, what did I calculate just now? Maybe about 30 months. Zanil is seen at a cricket match at Providence Stadium. Naturally, right-thinking Guyanese, law-abiding Guyanese, right representatives of human rights and so on have a right to ask questions. How is this person who's supposed to be an inmate, a guest of the state of Ghana, out there looking at cricket, then she is supposedly supposed to be in prison? Now, there are many options. There are many options. I see Martin King is saying it is reduced to 8 months. 8 months is a year. So if 8 months is a year, then Zanil should be 32 months in prison. Right? She should be 32 months in prison. And so she should be 32 months in prison. Is it accurate that the prison system takes into consideration the time you spent on remand? Y'all tell me. Right? I want to know. I'm trying to understand this matter. I don't want to be biased. Good? So 8 months is, if it's 8 months is a year, it's 32 months. A sentence of 4 years should be equivalent to 32 months. Based on my calculation, I calculated, well, we're seeing her now. So she would have spent March to March of this year. Well, the matter wasn't concluded in March 22. All right, let me take it from March 2022 when we saw this photo, this mugshot. March 2022 to March 2024 would represent about 24 months. Right? Add to that April, May, June, July, August. That will take it to 30 months. No, 29. September, October. That will take it to 31. Good? So did Zanil serve her time in prison? Is there a possibility she served the full sentence in prison? I would like the authorities to come out, because Guyanese have a right to know and say beyond the shadow of a doubt that Zanil Williams served her full term in prison. If she didn't serve her full term in prison, when was she released? And on what grounds she was released? There are several grounds on which she can be released. One is a presidential pardon. Was Zanil pardoned by the president of this country? If Zanil was pardoned by the president of this country, why isn't the media aware that she was pardoned? Why are Guyanese citizens not aware that she was pardoned? You see, presidents have privileges. They're empowered. Right? They're empowered to pardon people on specific, well, I wouldn't even say on specific, but I know for a fact on national observances. So things like Republic, they announce pardons. Independence, they announce pardons. At least those two particular observances, national observances. And then maybe around the Christmas season, they also give pardons. So the question is, was Zanil the beneficiary of a pardon? And if she was the beneficiary of a pardon, why the nation is not aware? That's one grounds on which she could be out there watching cricket if she didn't serve her full sentence, a presidential pardon. Was Zanil released on good behavior? Because yes, some of your times get commuted, I think the word is, to good behavior. If you're well behaved, if you're a moderate prisoner, inmate, let me use that word. If you're very cooperative and you've utilized your time in there to serve your country in some positive way or other, then your time could be reduced for good behavior. Is Zanil released on good behavior? In short, Guyanese have a right to know what the grounds are for this young lady's release. It is either she completed her time, number one. It is either she was pardoned, number two. It is either she received a reduced sentence for good behavior. We need to know. People need to know. Otherwise, Agent Saunders, you're not hearing me? Is anybody else having a difficulty hearing me? Thank you, Marlon. I think everybody else is hearing me. So, Adrian, you need to perhaps check your device. They usually tell you to restart it. Excellent. Good. So, if we don't get clarity on the circumstances which are responsible for Zanil Williams being seen at a cricket match, why she is supposedly supposed to be in prison or supposedly serving a prison term, then we have a right to draw our conclusions. That once again, the attitude of the PPP, which says friends and cronies, favorites and families, will get to do as they wish, when they wish, how they wish. And then that's a disservice to the young lady, assuming that she did what she had to do. Right? Marlene is saying that she hasn't served enough time to come out on parole. Some say payroll, some say parole. Right? Presidential pardons have nothing to do with the time you spent. I don't think it does. Okay? So rightfully people are asking the question, how is she out? How did she get out? Now, when you look at matters like these, yes, Leonard Green, see these memory warriors? Leonard Greenwood is asking the question about Shaniza Jaffarali, that young lady who threatened to bomb UG and had gone before the court and so on and so forth. Now, when you look at matters like these, when you look at a matter which involves the Guyanese critic,
attacking a fellow citizen, bloodying a fellow citizen, brandishing a weapon, refusing the instructions of a police officer, but not yet before the courts. Then that strengthens the idea, the opinion, the outlook. And hey, as long as you're connected to the PPP, whether it's by a friendship or by familiar relationships, whether your auntie is a minister or your uncle is a minister or your auntie uncle is a minister or whatever the situation is, you're favored, you can do as you like. And that is further compounded by senior officers of the Guyana police was being accused of what? Being in bed with criminal elements, as is recently reported. A senior police officer accused of leaking information in high-profile abduction case. Right? A senior officer in the Guyana Police Force has come under scrutiny for allegedly providing key information to suspects involved in the abduction of 28-year-old Joshua David. According to a report in Kaito News, the officer, whose name has not been released, is accused of leaking police intelligence to wanted men in an effort to protect himself from implication in the crime. Kaito News reports that according to sources familiar with the case, the officer allegedly shared updates on the police investigation with the suspects and advised them to surrender, warning that increased pressure from investigators was putting him at risk. It is suspected that his connection to the suspects might extend beyond the professional level, as investigators believe the officer has a personal acquaintance with them. However, it is not yet clear whether the police have solid evidence to confirm his involvement, though recent developments suggest the officer may hold more knowledge about David's abduction than has been revealed. The revelations come as a blow to the ongoing investigation, which has been struggling to make significant headway. Police have been conducting searches, particularly in the East Coast Demerara backlands, but have yet to locate David or uncover conclusive leads. I will not read any more of that story, but I'll say this to you. When that matter of the abduction broke, I asked the question, did the officer tell the junior ranks to stand down until Monday when they were on the lead Saturday because he wanted to buy time for two things, or one of two things? One, to plant the body at the back of Buxton, or two, to remove the body from the back of Buxton. Because remember, the instruction was to stand down until Monday, because they were searching the back of Buxton, because according to them, they had information that this body of Dave or Bricks might very well be at the back of Buxton. The officer said stand down. That would have given them a 48 hours window, or thereabout, to either move Bricks into Buxton or move Brick out of Buxton. What are the implications of these actions? There are very serious implications. We're in an election year. Guyana is a place that is racially charged, especially when it comes close to elections time. Buxton is a community that is seen as notorious for violence, especially against Indo-Guyanese and supporters of the PPP. Now, the senior policeman that is being named in this matter, the name is not published locally, it's published internationally. I think you can check Record Burke's page. The senior policeman whose name is being called in this matter is a favorite of the PPP. As a matter of fact, it is believed that his senior policeman is touted, is favored. There's a high possibility that that senior policeman will replace Clifton Hickins when they lose him out of pasture. And so can you see the implications of this senior policeman being involved in tarnishing the image of an African Guyanese community? This senior policeman is an Indo-Guyanese. Is there a possibility that there's a plan hatched by the PPP and the senior policeman who is touted or believed to be favored as the next commissioner of police to further tarnish the image of Buxton and African Guyanese in general? Now, when you look at that, alongside the apparent I don't know if to call it early release of Zanil Williams, alongside recent allegations of senior policemen in the Guyana police force not only being in bed with criminals, but working for criminals to frame especially African Guyanese men for criminal activities, then you have to ask yourself, what are we dealing with in this country when it comes to law enforcement? Are African Guyanese men safe? Are they really being protected and served by the Guyanese police force? Or they are an endangered species being hunted by the Guyana police force? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. It is alleged that the BRICS abduction has relations with the Durban Street shooting. Y'all remember the Durban Street shooting? I think it took the lives of two persons. One of them is this guy, Wayne. But when, immediately after that shooting, a wanted bulletin was issued for 5 men, I think. Or was it 4? One of them definitely is a Bourne, I think. Travis Chase aired an interview with 3, I think, of the accused, saying, listen, and this is my interpretation, listen, we into badness. But we didn't do that. We have been tagged with this because a senior policeman or senior policemen in the Guyana police force are working with a rival gang. And since the rival gang cannot flush us out, these senior policemen have used their office to issue wanted bulletin for us in an effort to flush us out for the rival gang or gangs. Sounds like an old movie. Sounds like an entire movie. They made that allegation. Apparently, everybody turned a deaf ear to it. Because what? When you're bad, you're done bad, you're criminal, you ain't got no rights. You're a criminal, you don't have, there's no possibility of you speaking truth. Every bad thing that they dash at your door is at your door. Took me back into a time in the 2000s when there was the jailbreak. I don't know the facts of the matter, but I was told
Troy Dick ended up in jail for something he didn't do and decided, well, if they're going to discriminate me and put me in jail for something I ain't going to do, I didn't do, I'm going to really do something these days that I'm out. I think that was his story. Or was it Fine Man? I can't remember whose story it was, but legend has it that the police was responsible for turning at least one of those escapees, in uplifted commas, into the core criminal because he was punished for something that he wasn't involved in. Well, here we are again, and I've been saying it to you for years. I want to remind you, I always say that a lot of the people who are responsible for serious crimes in this society or investigating serious crimes in this society are by themselves involved in serious criminal activities. I've never called anybody's name because, again, I don't able with no lawsuit. I ain't got the wherewithal to deal with that. But I'm saying to you, pay attention. The criminals or alleged criminals are alleging that senior police officers are working for gangs in this society, are themselves gang leaders in this society, and are using the Guyanese police force as their vendetta squad. And the situation is further compounded because there's also political involvement in criminal activities and the aiding and abetting of criminal activities. For example, someone who is sentenced to 4 years in prison for cocaine is apparently out before serving their time and enjoying the joys of a CPL cricket final. Let me say this to you. I spoke about presidential pardoning earlier, but I do not know that the laws of Ghana allow the president or anybody, as a matter of fact, to pardon someone who has been convicted under the narcotics, whatever law they call it, under the drugs and narcotics, whatever, I can't remember the exact name of the law, but the anti-drug law. Trafficking of narcotics is not a crime that is pardonable as far as I understand. And so the question is, how did Zanil Williams get onto the road? Which of the means I mentioned earlier placed her back on the road? When are we going to have an international investigation into what really is happening at the Guyanese police force with these several allegations? Because here, the criminals made the allegations that senior officers were involved in these activities. Then members of the organization itself insinuated that senior officers are involved in these activities because of the fact that the instruction to stand down came from a senior officer. And so heads were turned, ears were batted, as we like to say, and people started paying attention. Isn't there enough, as we will call it, circumstantial evidence to warrant an investigation into the behavior of senior members of the Guyanese police force in the criminal underworld? Let me tell you what I expect. I don't expect any investigation. I think it will be warranted, but I don't expect any. But I will take you back to time when the Black Clothes Police, Merai, Fraser, was Robocop among them, a whole long list. Gangster, I wonder about gangster. The gangster was caught in a gangsterism, and that is the last I had heard of gangster. But wonder what we're gangs today. Y'all remember gangs, sir? Used to kick people and stuff. Yeah. But that notorious gang, known as the Black Clothes Police, they were accused of every single thing you hear me mentioning here that this current crop of Guyanese police force senior officers are being accused of. They were accused of being enforcers for Thomas Carroll, a U.S. embassy official who was selling visas. And that evidence was presented in the United States of America, in the penal system. And when you look around, that gang of police, known as the Black Clothes, they were operating as though they were untouchables in the Guyanese society. And they did no ends of harm to citizens and law and order in this society. Haven't we learned from our experience? Are we going to allow another band of policemen to do the same thing? My information is that the members of the Guyanese police force currently, or I should say gangs in the Guyanese police force currently, that are worse than the Black Clothes Police. They're just a little more perhaps subtle, or people are paying too little attention to their behavior. But left unchallenged, left untackled, they're going to be doing tremendous harm to the society. You know them two white vehicles that is patrol the city? The officers in those two vehicles that are worse, I understand, than the Black Clothes Police. But you live in a society of fear. You live in a society of every man for himself. And so nobody is addressing this cancer on the Guyanese society. Nobody. What are we waiting for? For another 1,400 Guyanese, especially African Guyanese, to meet their demise at the hands of these police? Is that what we're waiting for? Are we waiting for the favorites of the PPP in the Guyanese police force to be used to set up, create conditions for mayhem so that the PPP can have an excuse for slaughtering more Guyanese or executing the race war? Are we waiting for a local Holocaust? I think the time is now. It is now. For Guyanese, politicians or not, to sound their voices and demand accountability, not only from the leaders of the Guyanese police force, but from the government, because that is where the buck stops. Let us hold the government accountable. Let us demand answers. As they say, it could start at the low-hanging fruits. What is Neil Williams doing on the streets of Guyana? How did she get out? That's very low. If everything is above ground, then above board, a simple release some ropes and bend, broke up bend. That rubber stamp at the Ministry of Home Affairs, detailing for us how Neil Williams got back onto the streets of Guyana. There's a low-hanging fruit. A press statement can clarify that, man. in relation to the senior officers accused of being gang leaders and gang members and facilitative of gangs, that is a headache. Because here it is. When such information is revealed, an already bruised and battered Guyana police force that has no credibility among the citizens of this country will be further bruised and battered, and citizens will have really no trust in the Guyana police force. It happened in the past, it is going to happen now. In the 2000s, citizens weren't reporting crimes to the Guyana police force because by the time you call the station and make the report, them bad boys used to get it immediately after. And that is why people's houses got burnt down in Buxton. That is why people were murdered in Buxton. That is why people got beaten up and defaced and all kinds of things in Buxton and surrounding communities, because there was no trust in the police. The police could not be trusted because they were folks like these senior officers in the Guyana police force. As soon as you make the report, they make the report. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. What do you do with the police force in instances like these? What do you do with the government in instances like this? Targeting. 6225933 is the number to call. The lines are open. Caller live.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, everyone in the Guyanese diaspora. Good morning to all Guyanese. The question you propose, what can we do? And that calls for action. Just a few seconds ago, you talked about accountability. How do we hold the system accountable? Yesterday, I asked the question that we should consider, in the sake of accountability and transparency, and in terms of understanding what are the responsibilities of the judiciary in all of this. We've been talking about the executive branch. We've been talking about, and that's the branch with the installed president. We've been talking about the legislative branch, and that's the branch of the National Assembly Parliament. We haven't been having a chance to interact with the judiciary. And I'm wondering why is that segment of society been left out? I sent you a video. If you give me the permission to just about 4 minutes, 40 seconds of it. Because yesterday when I spoke about having a discourse, an ongoing discourse, part of the democratic discourse is the participation, governance by consent, and having confidence in the people of the judiciary who govern over us. There is no transparency, there is no way of accountability, there is no interaction, but yet people are governing over us from the judiciary, and we need to be able, in a democratic way, to democratize the society. People need to have some sort of interaction with the judiciary, and that's not happening. So I sent a video of John G. Roberts, the current Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, talking publicly on social media. Clarence Thomas is always on there. You could show it if possible, Mr. Amsterdam, because people need to see, because people are thinking that it's a conflict of interest. People just automatically think. Pardon?
I'm listening to you.
Yeah. People think it's a conflict of interest if justices were to come and speak on social media publicly. No. It's no more of a conflict of interest than the president speaks publicly. The Speaker of the House and the Member of Parliament, they speak publicly. But the branch of the judiciary can also speak, and they do speak.
The most important
and that's what
that we do as a technological research.
I'm playing the video.
Yes. 40 seconds. 4 minutes, 40 seconds.
That will take you to 7 minutes, almost 8. You'll have about 2 minutes to wrap up thereafter. Keep that in mind.
Good. Yes. Is the video playing?
That's why we're very happy today to hear your insights. Now, before becoming the Chief Justice of the United States in 2005, you had a very distinguished career. You worked in the White House, in the U.S. Department of Justice, and on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Now, as former Vice Chair of the Board of Regents for 3 years and a member of the Executive Committee, I had the great pleasure of working with you, as you pointed out, at the Smithsonian Institution. And one of my big privileges has been to meet quarterly with the Chief Justice in that role. And so this is one of the many responsibilities that accrue to you in the role of Chief Justice of the United States. And I will ask you something about that in a little while. But let me take up from where you left off. You are a great student of history in general, and obviously the history of the United States Supreme Court. And so you went through and you talked about a number of your predecessors, all of them, in fact. But which historical figure or which historical justice would you say has influenced you the most in terms of either legal thinking or just in terms of comportment as the Chief Justice?
I think that's an easy question to answer, and I think certainly the majority of justices on the court and throughout history would give the same answer. John Marshall is the model for a Supreme Court justice. He was the first person to take the job seriously. Remember, Jay was off being a diplomat. Rutledge was there for 6 months. Ellsworth was doing other things. Marshall took it seriously, and he appreciated the role of the court in sort of bringing the United States together under the Constitution, under the rule of law. And he had a very particular focus. He's the author of some great decisions that define our nation, but he also had a very modest and measured understanding of his job. Marbury versus Madison was a huge controversy. It was the battle between the Jeffersonian Republicans and the Federalists. Jefferson had won the presidency. His party had won the House. They had won the Senate. There was one place where they weren't dominant, and that was in the new judiciary. And they had a bullseye right on John Marshall's back. Jefferson and Marshall were actually cousins, and they hated each other. And this was his opportunity, Jefferson's, to get the Federalists out. No one knew exactly what they were going to do with the judiciary. Remember, the Constitution is still very new. And this case came up. And the question is, would Marshall rule in favor of the Federalists in creating these midnight judges, and therefore rule in favor of his party and give the Jeffersonians an excuse to attack the courts? Or would he rule in favor of the Republicans and not allow the new Federalist judges to take office, which would have been a question viewed as surrender and would allow them to take further steps? So what Marshall did is it was a very restrained approach. He concluded that the Federalist judges could not take office, but they couldn't take office because the law that would allow them to was unconstitutional. So he was telling the public that the court did not have the power to do something. So the Federalist judges were not able to take office. They didn't have the power to
Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning? Good morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 7 hours 27 on the 9th day of October in the year 2024. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Welcome to the program. Share the live. Y'all do the number. We are waiting for man. Share the live. Yes. How y'all do? What y'all up to? What y'all been doing all the time? What's happening? Y'all talk to me. I need to know. How was you yesterday? How was your last night? How is you this morning? Which side of the bed you come off of? Let me tell you that we're going to have Ganesh Mahipal on the program this morning. Ganesh Mahipal is the APNU AFC representative in Parliament. I think he's Shadow Minister for Local Government. And so we're going to have him on the program this morning. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I get the impression that I'm not being heard. I wonder why. Talk to me, y'all. Morning. Sabrina Blue, okay, now. Anybody see Deborah Ramsey or Shalon April? Y'all find them for me. I got a good word for them this morning. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? All right, good. Sound check loud and clear. Good say y'all morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time again. Let's tell y'all something. Listen. Y'all listen up. The Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Prison Service has issued a press release. And in the interest of good governance and accountability, I should tell you that the Guyana Prison Service has said that they didn't release anybody prematurely. Right? And so you alone run around the place talking about people releasing people prematurely. You must check with the Guyana Prison Service when you want to know about prison matters, especially if you're not an inmate. Right? They said that Miss Williams, that is Zanil Williams, was indeed sentenced to 4 years in prison. But she immediately appealed her sentence. And she was granted, I think, $400,000 bail pending. Hi. Let me talk here after the program. What am I saying? Yes. So she was released on bail, and she's out pending I know what I'm saying, man. She's out pending the hearing of that appeal, right? Good. So that clarified. You see, I'm not a person who wants to score cheap points and so I don't just talk one side of the story. But I'm happy that the Guyana Prison Service, I think the director of prisons might be acting, Mr. Elliott. I think that's his name, some Elliott. What's his name? Some Elliott. So the press statement was released. And so we have clarity. That is all we wanted. That is all we wanted. But I'm wondering when the appeal is going to be heard. You know, one of the things is this in this country, who determines when a case gets heard? I don't know. She appealed immediately She was sentenced in 2002, 2022. That's 2 years ago, thereabout. 2 years hence, the appeal has not been heard, and so on and so forth. Anyways, morning all morning. We got Ganesh Mai Paul in the house. I don't like to use the word honorable. Member of Parliament Ganesh Mai Paul. Welcome to
Morning, Kadaki. I'm trying to actually set up this device.
All right, so you would like me to give you some time to do that?
Yes,
Or you're
please do.
comfortable though?
Please
All right,
give me a couple minutes.
All right, good. Yes, so we're going to have my Paul in there. So y'all want to know why? Ali is going to Don's president. They got Don's talk, they got lash up here, they got Don's president. The man that everybody walk out on the at the UN is going to address Parliament. Right? Note I said Parliament, not the National Assembly. He's going to address Parliament. Do you know that when the president is in the National Assembly, it is considered Parliament? Huh? Yes, that is what it's called, Parliament. Good. And so Ali is going to Parliament tomorrow, which is Thursday, to address the address the issue of cost of living. Cost of living. So he's going to tell Guyanese why they're eating the bread that the devil needs. Because that is what Guyanese are eating. And so, from my understanding, the MPs are going to be out there picketing the National Assembly. They ain't going in. This time they choose to stay out. And let me give you some context in terms of them choosing the right behavior. This is a flash in the past. I hope it's the right one I'm playing. But listen to this matter here.
Opposition members of Parliament during the President's address in the National Assembly today shouted and heckled.
And look at that. Y'all stop. Y'all stop. That person on the screen here is Zanil Williams. She was reporting for the Department of Public Communications at the time, right? You see, that is Zanil Williams reporting there. So continue following the story.
Heckled throughout the President's address. At some points, the head of state was inaudible to those sitting in chambers. Info Hub caught up with Prime Minister Moses Nagamotu and other ministers of the government who shared their views on this.
It was a political price the president had to pay to endure this outburst of immaturity and infantilism and to carry on with the speech. Because the Guyanese people are what matter right now, that the president is sending a message to them that your government has defended its stewardship.
We had the highest dignitaries in the land sitting there. Most importantly, we had representatives from all the high commissions, all the embassies, international organizations. And is that the way Guyana wants to present itself? Is that the best that we can be on such an important occasion as the opening of a session of Parliament?
I think the time has come where if we are truly interested in the development of Guyana and the unification of this nation, then we need to put all our efforts in building that confidence in our people. I think the opposition had an opportunity to do that over the 23 years. And at least they should have listened to the president before, behaving in that, I call it the gutter politics.
I feel embarrassed for them. I know the PPP is a wild bunch of people. They're wild. Broom said PPP wild. right? But to come and demonstrate the level of wildness here as a young parliamentarian as a Guyanese, I mean, I expect because I'm exposed to their behavior and their culture, but for persons who's not exposed to them like I am, I think they should have done a little bit more for themselves. It is the president we're talking about.
We didn't expect anything better from them. You know, this is the nature of the people. I mean, His Excellency turned up here today to set the tone, what government has been doing, our projections and our measures to come. And the, you know, willful behavior of the opposition speaks volume. I mean, if you're leaders in this great land, how do you expect the young people to pattern themselves off of you? You know, this is just sending a very distasteful image for us as leaders here in this country.
I was saddened. I was embarrassed as my other colleagues because I can remember comments coming from the opposition side when one of my colleagues, Mrs. Simona Brooms, you know, stood in an empty hall saying boom out and boom out and boom out, you know, and all sorts of things were said. But this afternoon, when I view and when I saw what was happening coming from parliamentarians who should be, you know, role models for the young generation of this country, even for the young parliamentarians, and when I saw the attitude that they displayed, you know, disrupting the speech of His Excellency, it saddened me as a leader, as a teacher. You know, what do our Guyanese children expect of us? Would they be motivated to become parliamentarians? I don't think so.
Very uncalled for, and it sends a bad message to the international community with the diplomats that were present and different figureheads in the country that we have a very irresponsible opposition. And they too are responsible for helping to craft the laws that guide this country. And that behavior is totally uncalled for and shows great disrespect to our president that is doing a good job to serve this nation.
Zanil Williams reporting from Parliament Building for Info Hub.
And so that was a sneak peek. That is how the PPP behaved. In fact, that was a response of the APNU AFC members of parliament, ministers of government, and so on, when Granger addressed the parliament and the PPP created a din. Here is, I'm trying to get, let me see if I can capture.
Kind welcome to address the House today as we are by racial hostility, bad financial assistance.
All right, that one has been sanitized. I know Ganesh, my Paul is there with us. Let's welcome Ganesh. Ganesh, you there? Ganesh? Ganesh got missing in action. Ganesh, you there?
I am. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. We are here. You know, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
All right. I am going to take off the camera because I am driving and I'm having difficulties to get it on the dashboard. So I'm going to speak to you via audio without a visual. Confirm that you're still hearing me.
Yes, loudly and clearly.
Happy to hear that. So I just put the phone up so it wouldn't distract me as I keep my eyes on the road.
Okay, sir.
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. I believe this is my first time appearing on your program, so thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. This is indeed the first time. You're a maiden visitor this morning.
Well, I hope I be impactful.
Well, I hope so. All right, so we are here because of several things. Number one, you are a representative of the group in the National Assembly. Am I right? You're the current shadow minister for local government?
Yes, local government and regional development.
Local government and regional development. Anything you want to address there quickly before we move on to other things?
Well, I just would like your audience to know, and if they would recall, Jagneo tried to tell the public the other day that there was a $28 million contract that was awarded to a company, I think it's Lenny's Contracting Enterprise in Region 8, and that it belongs to or is part owner to the regional engineer of Region 8, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Lachman Singh, the letter of acceptance of the contract from the Ministry of Public Works was sent to him, and they are claiming that the work was blocked or stopped because he's the regional engineer of Region 8 and being awarded that contract. I want to know that it's false on the part of Jagdeo. The contract was not stopped because the work was done, and there are picture evidence to support that. Um, the questions that ought to be answered, which Jagdeo needs to provide, which engineer was it, Lachman Singh himself, who measured the work to facilitate the payment, or was it another engineer? How many how much money was paid to the firm for the work done, and whether it was done satisfactory or not, and who really determined whether it was done satisfactory or not? So those are some searching questions in Region 8 that is paramount within the parameters of local government and regional development, and to basically say that Minister Sonia Parag seems to not understand her role as yet, but I will expose more about that as it comes up to debating topical issues in the National Assembly.
Okay, guys, thank you. So I'm understanding that there was some, I don't want to call it insider trading, but definitely conflict of interest involved in that issue.
Oh, definitely conflict of interest. And Jagdeo tried last Thursday to say to the nation that they figured it out as conflict of interest and that they recognized that it was conflict of interest and that they stopped the contract. And I am saying to you that he lied. The contract was not stopped. The man is no stranger to Minister Edgil, no stranger to Minister Pauline Sukai, no stranger to Sonia Parag. They all visited the site when the work was going on. They all participated in what you would call an examination of the project with the gentleman, and they all dine and wine right at his other business entity, which is Lenny's, I think it's a catering service or something he has there, that they wine and dine at. It's just that because the people have exposed it, that Jagdeo is seeking now to come up with this this false narrative to the Guyanese people as though he's cleaning up the system. And that's because we're heading into an election period. So he wants to put that false hope in the minds of people as though he really cares and that he recognizes that there's error and there's corruption and there's rampant corruption and he is going to do something about it. That's the kind of narrative he wants to put in the minds of the Guyanese people. But I've always maintained from long now that the Guyanese people are more sensible, they're more exposed, they're more informed, and they understand what is distraction politics. The People's Progressive Party for the next couple of mornings will be engaged in distraction politics as they seek to create a narrative that they are fixing the corruption that is endemic in this country. But we must not be fooled, because after 4 years of thieving, 4 years of engaging in massive corruption, to now tell us that you're attempting to fix it is nothing else but false hope that they're giving us.
Is it possible, Ganesh, that the contract was not stopped, but let me say, not executed by that same agency?
No, it cannot be executed by no other agency, because that was the agency that awarded it to this particular contractor. The Ministry of Public Works did the award. Public Works did the award for $28,500,000 and something. The letter is signed by the letter of acceptance is signed by the permanent secretary of that ministry, Vladimir Prasad, I think, and the Ministry of Public Works was the agency executing, and they awarded it to this contractor who is a regional engineer in the region.
All right, so watching the watchman, that is. Ganesh, you talk about that matter there of conflict of interest and corruption. That seems to be the war cry nowadays. Everything that the PPP is involved in risks of corruption and discrimination, I dare say. I saw a large number of contracts being awarded yesterday or in the last 72 hours, let's say, in Region 6. Have you paid attention to those awards?
Yes, I did pay attention to several contracts being awarded to people in Region 6. And that is, in my view, a complete breach of the Procurement Act of 2003. Because the Procurement Act of 2003, which is responsible for the awarding of contracts uh, using taxpayers' money, requires them to follow a system, requires them to follow a transparent system that can also enable accountability and greater and better governance. But I don't see that happening. What I saw was merely handpicking people to do what they want them to do in an aid to say that they're transferring wealth to the ordinary, but really and truly, most of those people there are friends, families, and favorites of the PPP that are aligned to them politically and had to produce evidence of their alignment via their party card and their family connections and so on. And people within the political arena vowed.
I think we have lost your audio. Are you there? Are you there, Ganesh? I think you might have.
And we
you're back?
were that these are matters that were reported to us. Huh?
We lost you for
You
a bit.
hearing me,
I guess
Kadaki?
you went into a dead end, a dead zone.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
You hearing me, Kadaki? Hopefully,
Yes,
somebody
sir, we
Wi-Fi
are.
must have kicked.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, I'm saying that the complaints we have in reference to the awarding of these contracts to friends, families, and favorites are coming from people right in Region 6 in selecting or ensuring that the contracts are awarded to competent people that satisfies the criteria. And I am saying to you that these very people who complained to us have pointed out that there are many people who are fit for the job, meets the requirement, and have the equipment, but because they are not friends, families, and favorites of the People's Progressive Party, they were not called to receive a contract to execute a project. So this government is perhaps the most corrupt government the world has ever seen and Guyana has ever seen. The most corrupt because the practices that they're engaged in are so illegal and bold by them to execute and spending of taxpayers' money. It's very much wicked, it's very much demonic, and it goes to show that they just don't care about transparency, accountability, and good governance. All they seem to be interested in is filling their pockets and making themselves rich and their friends richer.
But all of these illegalities that are being identified, the courts are supposed to be there to right the wrongs of society, whether you're in government or you're out of government. Any approaches have been made to the courts to challenge some of these
Kadaki,
behaviors, let me say?
Kadaki, our system is one that requires strengthening and autonomy in terms of the separation of power. We talk about it, we say that on paper the judiciary is autonomous, the legislative branch is autonomous and not to be interfered with by executive authority and so on. But we must be realistic. We must not live in an ideal world when we are here, and we must be pragmatic to know that the heavy political interference in the arms of governance is responsible for the state we find ourselves in. You know, I have been telling people that when you look at Donald Trump and, for example, some of the craziness that he spew, at the end of the day, the United States of America has a system that is well grounded, where public officials and public servants understand their role and are held to account to a system that is well structured and have very minimal political, if not no political interference. Our system is not the same. Our public servants, the minute they stand up against the regime and speak out of their corruption, they have to be feared whether they will still have their job. We have a system where ministers are determining who works in which ministry. We have a system where the politicians are interfering with the public system. We have a system where the appointments to oversee commissions and so on are done by politicians, where majority comes from the ruling side and minority from the government side. We have a system where the tender board that awards the contracts come from politicians, and in this instance, in Guyana's case, the PPP appoints all the people that they choose to sit on the tender board. So our system is severely hampered and disturbed by interference from politicians. And there is no exception to the court system too, because we see who makes the appointments of judges, how are they appointed, who are the persons that are they being influenced. There's a lot of political interference in our system, my brother.
Thank you. Indeed, there seems to be a lot of political interference. One of the places where these issues are supposed to be dealt with and dealt with in a transparent manner is the National Assembly. However, over the period of time, we have witnessed and we've learned of a lot of hindrances to the opposition really getting its quote-unquote way in the National Assembly when it raises these issues. Could you share with us what are some of those challenges?
Well, I wouldn't say that the opposition wants its way in the National Assembly. We don't. We don't want our way. What we want is even-handedness. We want proper leadership by the Speaker. We want fairness. We want a zone that we can maturely debate and maturely confront the ills of the People's Progressive Party, which we have been trying our utmost to do. One significant challenge of us in the National Assembly is the unfairness of the Speaker of the National Assembly, who has time and again shown his biasness for the People's Progressive Party, and sometimes he acts in a manner that can only be concluded as favoritism towards the People's Progressive Party and unfair manner of holding the seat. That seat requires him to be very professional. It requires him to be proper in the execution. Look, we had Raphael Trotman sitting there when it was the hung parliament. Raphael Trotman used to discipline government members and opposition members equally, even though he belonged at that time to the opposition. He never allowed the opposition or government to believe that he is going to be easily swayed by political affiliation. He held firm on his grounds. He was fixated on understanding the seat he's holding, and he executed that office with great respect for both sides. We had Bartland Scotland. He did the same. Bartland Scotland was from the government side at the time, APNU, AFC. It was our choice to sit in the National Assembly. And look at how he executed his functions. He didn't take sides. He didn't fail to ups the government side or the opposition side when they went wrong. But look at who we have right now. We have a man right now that is sitting in the seat who is more interested in protecting the corruption, protecting the wrongdoing, and protecting the nastiness of the People's Progressive Party. And then he attacks the members of the opposition and finds pleasure in doing so, as opposed to being a speaker that is fair and can execute the function in a manner where both sides can hold him to great respect. We in the National Assembly as opposition MPs cannot respect a man who seems to not have any respect for us. Respect is earned.
Given the behavior of this current speaker, do you think the time has come for a different method of appointing the Speaker to the National Assembly?
I think it is of utmost importance for the people of Guyana to recognize how the People's Progressive Party is abusing what is established. Because we cannot use Nadir's appointment to say that the system is flawed. When the system worked when we appointed Bartland Scotland and when we appointed Trotman, Raphael Trotman, even the PPP speaker, the man that they had before Ralph Ramkaran, was one that was being held in high degree and high standard. So the issue has to do with the individual. And the issue has to do with the individuals of and how they function in their respective offices. And if the People's Progressive Party recognizes that they have put a misfit, that they have put someone there who's not doing what is expected, then the proper thing to do is to remove that person. Don't bring a whole system into questioning because of a misfit. Find the right person and put the right person. I mean, in the Westminster system, the latitude is there, yes, for the governing side, the majority side to elect their speaker. But it must not be someone who abuses the privileges that were provided to them through that appointment. The privileges must be used very constructively. And that is not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is that the privileges are being abused by the current person who holds the speakership of the National Assembly. The best solution is to remove him. And the best solution for us to stop the corruption and to basically bring this country back to some degree of normalcy where the ordinary can feel included and lifted from the nightmare they currently find themselves in is to remove the PPP from office.
Are there steps identified by which the speaker can be removed?
Yes, there are a no confidence motion, and then you take it to a vote. You can vote him out the same way how you
As
voted him.
the
He can be voted
MPs
out.
from your side attempted such?
Pardon me?
Has there been any attempt from the opposition side to table a no confidence motion and have the speaker removed?
A motion was submitted sometime back when Joseph Harmon was leader of the opposition, but subsequently Joseph Harmon resigned, and that by virtue of his resignation, the motion is removed also because it was standing in his name. Currently, there hasn't been any that was submitted by us, and that is because at the end of the day, you don't just openly submit a motion just like that. You have to do your work to ensure that you can win your motion. It's not a willy-nilly something that you just submit and hope and pray that it goes through. You have to do your groundwork, just like what the PPP did in terms of how they got Charan Das. They bought him over. They knew he was coming over. They felt comfortable about him, and they got him. And if you look back at that video when Charan Das voted, if you look at Irfan Ali's reaction when his own sides started to shout loudly, he turned around and he flapped his hands, signaling to them to be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. That alone gave me that impression that they knew exactly what was happening. They had infiltrated the coalition and they went ahead. So it is a matter of you assuring yourself and guaranteeing that you have the numbers to win the motion. And secondly, this has to do with the PPP and their operations. I don't blame Mansour Nadir for his behavior. I blame the PPP for his behavior. I blame the PPP because they are aiding and abetting. They are advancing, they are encouraging, they are supporting, they are promoting his behavior. If they tell him that, listen, man, you got to do this thing different. You're making me look bad. You got to be fair. When we do wrong things, when Kwame talk and behave stupidly, when Charles Ramson behaves stupidly, when Gail Teixeira behaves stupidly, ups them, pull them up, tell them they are wrong. This is not about individualism. This is about the collective. And you're making us look bad, Mansour. Fix yourself in order. If the PPP tells him that, he will do what he has to do. But they are not telling him that. They're aiding and abetting, they're encouraging, they're facilitating, and they are responsible for his behavior.
So while I understand, Ganesh, the importance of winning your motion, isn't it just as important to at least put it on the record that there's no confidence in this speaker?
No, you're not wrong about that either. You're not wrong about that either. And perhaps we can explore the option of submitting a second one. Perhaps we should explore the option of submitting a second one, and I'll raise it with my team.
Thank you. Let's talk now about what is about to happen tomorrow. I know I have heard of the reports of the Ali going to Parliament to address, to do an address on cost of living, among other things, or cost of living of all the things. Tell us, I mean, we've been crying out. I've been hearing the opposition talking about cost of living for quite a while, and nothing tangible has really been done by this government in my mind, or at least from where I sit. Tell us about the efforts of the opposition in Parliament to have the issue of cost of living addressed long before Ali decides that tomorrow is the time to do it.
Well, let me say first of all, Kadaki, we were sworn in as members of Parliament on the 1st of September 2020. And you would recall that that was in the height of, or I should say in the latter part of the COVID-19 pandemic. And from then till now, and we still keep hammering home the point that cost of living is really affecting the Guyanese people. Cost of living is is at a level where the ordinary are really suffering and punishing, and we will like for it to be addressed. We went even as far as to submit a motion in the National Assembly, asking, I think, for a team to be put together so that the best measures can be come up with, that you can come up with the best measures to address this heavy cost of living. As I pass right now at the Stabrook Market area, I am seeing 9 limes for $100. 9 limes for $100. And I know it was at the time. Sorry, not 9, 7. The 7 looked like a 9. 7 lines for $100. And I remember when it was at 12 and 13 and so on for, look, 15 sometimes you see for $100, and now it has gone to 9. So it got that, and that's just one item I've looked at there. But the point I'm making, Kadaki, is that the opposition had submitted a motion requesting an engagement with a special select committee to address cost of living issues. We have written continuously. We had numerous press conferences at the PNC level and the APNU AFC level, speaking about this cost of living, and we have made many suggestions. Openly, they are out there in terms of salary increases, in terms of various other measures. And the team, if it was put together by the government side and respect for the inclusivity of the opposition, we would have had perhaps not the way we are right now, where it is really affecting the Guyanese people. But I believe Ali's presence in the National Assembly tomorrow is not one necessarily to genuinely address and fix cost of living and other issues that are affecting the people of Guyana, but is one to seek sympathy from the nation, and he will craft his statement in such a way where he may want to appeal to the emotions of the citizens and again display a sense of falsehood, a sense of falseness to try to capture the population into believing that he is genuine and sincere in his cause after participating in corrupt practices over 4+ years. And I know that our people are not going to fall prey into believing that he is genuine. I know our people are not going to fall to believe that this man genuinely means what he does. He is a false leader that has a set of false things to his name, and he displays that falseness by trying to smile and trying to make things look nice, but there's no genuineness and sincerity in his operation as president, and his government is only all about filling their pockets and enriching themselves. That's the sad reality of our state.
Just quickly, what are some of the measures, if you can remember them, that were suggested by members of the opposition to ease the cost of living burden on citizens?
Well, I can tell you one of the concrete measure that we wanted to see was this team to be put in place by both opposition and government so that they can come up with the best of ideas to satisfy and reflect both sides of the aisle. So that would have been an ideal way to start it off first of all, but they never agreed to it. I know of the coalition's proposition for there to be an increase in the minimum wage, for there to be an increase in the taxable or an increase in the salary and reduction in the taxable earnings so that the people can have more disposable income at their disposal. And there were several others that were spoken to by member Elson Lowe and the leader himself. But to be honest with you, I can't remember all off the top of my head as I am still navigating this heavy traffic here in Georgetown. But at the end of the day, there were significant measures that were recommended. It's just that they never spoke to it. That's the People's Progressive Party. And I would not be shocked if Irfan Ali in his address to the National Assembly seeks to steal the ideas of the coalition and present it as his in a modified version. I want to also tell you that we also spoke about the cash grant distribution. And if it is done in an effective, proper, and efficient manner, and not just to friends, families, and favorites, then we could very well be having a better system for our people to benefit, and collectively our nation can be lifted from the nightmare we are currently in.
Thank you, Ganesh. Tomorrow, Ali addresses the National Assembly in 2017, right? I think it was in 2017. Yes, November 2017, when then President Granger went into the National Assembly to address as it became Parliament. The PPP created a din. They banged the desks and they had placards and so on and so forth. I started the program with a video of then sitting ministers and members of parliament chastising the PPP for the disrespectful and churlish behavior in the National Assembly at that time. Is the opposition going to go to parliament tomorrow to first hear what Ali has to say, and secondly, would they return the favor?
Let me be honest with you. We can be just as how they were, and we can display that kind of behavior because of our frustration and our disgust with their manner of leadership in this country. We can go in with placards, we can bang the desk, we can heckle as loud as possible, and we can be very disruptive. Make no mistake about that. It is not that they are bastions of that kind of quality alone. All human beings possess that ability to be disruptive, but one must understand what role they play and how they must be responsible as leaders in today's society. The National Assembly, and by extension the Parliament, is one of our most respectable institutions in our country, and it is the representation of democracy, even though it's not alive right now under the PPP. But we in the coalition cannot, in our righted sense, participate in that kind of lewd and crude behavior because we are not that kind of people. We understand what it is to be respectful. We understand what it is to respect the offices that are within the ambit of the Parliament of Guyana, though Irfan Ali is what I will consider a misfit. At the end of the day, there ought to be that respect for the office of the president. There ought to be that respect for the office of these respective positions in our country. We may not have the respect for the individuals because they are total misfits, but we ought to have the respect for the respective offices. So we will not be participating in any sort of unbecoming behavior because we are not the People's Progressive Party. We are not as nasty as they are, and we are not going to carry ourselves down to the lowest of ebb to be raucous and be immature and nasty. We will not do that. We are not that kind of leaders. Our young people, our children, our the diplomatic community, all of them will be looking to us for leadership, and we ought to give them that leadership quality. We ought to show them that we are not wicked, evil people like the People's Progressive Party, and we stand for a degree of discipline, a degree of respect, and a degree of total matureness in this political arena. That is what we ought to do and show and display.
So the question is, the question included, are you going to be attending to listen to Ali?
No, well, we haven't made a firm decision on that as yet, whether we will be there physically to listen to him. But if you ask me what is my personal opinion, I will not want to listen to somebody who I know is false in the way he presents himself, is false in the way he promises, and is false in totality, even with all his qualifications and so on as he claims.
I hate to I hate to ask, but are you saying at this 11th hour, the opposition parliamentarians have not yet decided how they will treat with
No. That's not what I'm saying. There is strong discussions going on. We had a lengthy meeting yesterday. We had meetings days before. We are hammering out a number of other avenues. We're hammering out a number of other options that are at our disposal. And we are moving ahead with those planning and execution. What I'm actually saying to you is that I don't want to be what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to be preemptive in exposing certain political strategies and tactics that may be used and utilized by the 31 MPs of the opposition. But I can tell you with confidence that there will be some form of protest against his presence because we don't support the falsehood that he presents.
And so in whatever actions are planned by the MPs, I'm assuming that the public support is not needed.
Yes, the public support is needed.
So how then you can be keeping these things close
is needed. I can go as far as to say to you that the public is invited to participate in these protest actions that will be held at the Otterchong Conference Center tomorrow, and the public is invited to come out of their own strength, not one where we are instructing or we are participating in the act of demanding their presence. They must be comfortable about the disruptive and falsehood of the PPP, that they will want to come out and sound their voices and they will want to challenge. And I'm inviting them to come out and join the teams that will be out there. And at some point, I am sure all the MPs will be there also to embrace support and speak to them and let them know what is really happening in our country.
Thank you, Ganesh. It's 8 hours 15. Usually we take calls on this program. Are you willing to take a few?
Yes, I am, but I will ask that you excuse me at 8:30.
Sure. So we have 15 minutes or 40 minutes to take calls. And so the lines are open. Those of you who have any direct questions you would like to ask Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal. I said before, I don't like to use the word honorable, not because I don't think you're honorable, but I think a lot of dishonorable things happen in the National Assembly.
Well, let me tell you this, Kedaki. I am not living in a world where I want to be presented as things that are borrowed. The title honorable is borrowed as far as I'm concerned. And all offices that I happen to hold are borrowed offices. I have to remain the individual I am. so that when I return back to society as an individual without all of these accolades, I must still be humble and I must still be at peace with myself. I must never feel as though I am above anyone or I am at a level where you have to be humble at all times. I liken it by telling people that it doesn't matter how high you climb in this ladder of success or in this life of success, you have to fall one day. You can fall either by death, you can fall by resignation, or you can fall by termination. Whichever means you fall by, you must ensure that as you climb, there is a footprint that you have left where people can speak good about you as you fall.
Thank you. Let me ask you before I take the call. What time you suggest people should come out to the Artichong Convention Center there to?
I would say people can be there as early. The Parliament starts at 10 o'clock. The National Assembly sits at 10 o'clock. I would say let them decide at their convenience, but they should be out there as early as possible as they see fit.
What time Ali is scheduled to be at Parliament?
There's no time schedule for him. The Parliament starts at 10. I would say that he will probably be there around 10:30.
Okay, thank you. Caller, your life. Thank you for holding. Caller, you're on. Caller. This caller fell asleep on us. Caller. All right, I guess we lost that one. The lines remain on 6225923 is the number to call. I will play a voice note also.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, Ganesh. I'm glad Ganesh is on your program this morning to let Guyanese know what is going on. And I don't think the opposition should go and listen to Ali because he's going to talk a bundle of lies. From the time they were installed, Guyanese are being discriminated, especially Afro-Guyanese. They are not a good government and they need to go. I only hope Guyanese are preparing themselves to vote them out because there's nowhere you can just take care of your supporters and you're not taking care of the other people. It's not looking good. It is not looking good, and the lies and the lies and the lies with Ali and Jagdio, it's terrible. Guyanese, these people need to be removed. The PPP need to remove from government, and when they remove them, must not be take government for a long time. It is terrible what the behavior that the ministers are behaving with too.
Thank you.
Guyanese, this is your opportunity to make it right. That is my take.
Let me just remind you that Member of Parliament Ganesh Maipal is leaving at 8:30. We have 10 minutes to ask him questions. We can make the comments thereafter. Please and thank you. Call your life.
Yes, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters, especially to Mr. Ganesh. Well done, well done. I always love to listen to you.
Caller, there still? I don't know. There's that thing that happens with Flash Gordon's phone. I don't know. Well, maybe let me say it's connection. The lines remain open. 6225923 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Excuse me. We have a voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Kidaki.
I'll play that after. Call your life.
Good morning, Kidaki, and good morning, NMP Ganesh Michael. I heard you spoke about different things. Now, one thing that you got to ask me about is the prices, if the traveling on Region 3, the high cost. And I think that it is time, I think we got to go through Ministry of Tourism, if they could look into the passage one. You pay $120 to go to Britain, and on your return, you got to pay $200. Yesterday I was en route from Freedomhoek to Denhamsted, and an Indian man got off in his village, I think it was Rumsick, and he know the fare is $120. And he paid that $120 to the driver who was injured. And the man called back this man. You could see the man was embarrassed. He said, hey, bro, come. He said the price is $200. The man had the money. But what I looked at, the embarrassment. And I think that it is high time Ministry of Tourism, because I understand lots and lots of messages and reports are going to them about the high fare structure on your return from Finland. You go to town, you come in home at 3 o'clock, the driver wants $500 any part of the western part of the bridge. And I think that this should be a price control coming out back with a fair structure that it must be both ways. You go to Freedom, you go to town, this is the fair structure and it must be maintained. We don't care who the bus drivers got to pay the police. We want something to ease our burden in getting from Georgetown and Freedom. Thanks and bye-bye.
Thank you for your call.
I know that voice. I know that voice, Kadaki.
Go ahead.
I said I know that voice, and I thank the couple of persons who came through thus far. And I want to make it very clear that I do agree and appreciate the fact that the people who are suffering the most in this country right now under this regime are the people of Afro descent, are the people of are African Guyanese. And you know, I admire the way the commentators like yourself, Kadaki, and others who are exposing and bringing to light that degree of discrimination that is being meted out to the majority of African Guyanese. The PPP has a way of just collecting a handful of Afro Guyanese and giving them some small chips here and there and use them, abuse them, and then later on will refuse them when they have already exhausted and used them to their full advantage. But I want to say something to our people. We must not abuse the ones who are used as that little token to get what they are getting. We must leave it as it is for their benefiting, but we must continue to call out the government for not allowing majority or if not all to benefit equally. You see, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that and they know that to themselves too, right? They know that they're being used for reasons, but then they're accepting it because they gotta survive, Kadaki. They have to survive. So when you like for example, when I see how the Dalrymples, for example, have made a sudden switch and went over to the PPP and they're openly and courageously jumping high and jumping low and so on, and they're receiving their little contracts, they're receiving their little works, is a matter of survivability for these people. And sometimes they have to go against their principles just for survival. And I want people in general to understand that. And I want people to understand that these few folks who are swimming with the PPP understand that they're hurting the majority, but they're fighting for their survival. And sometimes they got to do the most ungodly of things. And it's so sad that they have to do that. And I want to also resonate with everyone who's listening that there are Indian Guyanese who are suffering harshly too under the People's Progressive Party. There are people right in Region 6 who are very much against how they distributed the contracts yesterday that are of Indian ethnicity. There are people in Region 2, people in Wakenham, people in Legwan, Region 3, and across the country who are against how the cash grant distribution is being done to a select few who can produce party cards and who can have someone swearing on them that they are PPP and they stand for PPP and they vote PPP. There are lots of Indian people that are being deprived. There are lots of Indian people who are complaining about the manner in which contracts are being awarded. the lower middle class Indians that are contractors are not benefiting like the upper rich middle class. Look at that pharmaceutical award that was done the other day, $7 billion just to Bobby Ramroop. And of all the companies, there were 11 companies that 11 companies that bid. All 11 were Indian people, but they took one Indian man and gave him 7 billion. The other 10 are upset, they are against it, and they complained about it. That is how I knew about it, and that's how I exposed it. So make no mistake, suffering in this country, majority are of Afro descent. There is a great number of Indian Guyanese and Amerindian Guyanese that are equally suffering under the PPP. And that is because the PPP is all about enriching them friends, enriching their favorites, enriching their families, much to the expense of us, the poorer class, and they seek to keep us poor and remain and want to have us remaining as poor. And we the citizens in the majority will have to speak and speak loudly come election day when we have to put that X everywhere else except the PPP.
Thank you, Ganesh. I know you have to leave at 8:30. Can you take one other call?
Go ahead, go right ahead.
Okay, so
I'm actually in front of somewhere where I have to go, so the person is not done as yet. So let's continue until I'm ready to leave.
okay. Caller, you're on.
Good morning, Brother Kidaki, and good morning to MP Ganesh. First, let me pose a question to MP Ganesh. Why is it that you guys choose to protest now, the situation that the people of Guyana is facing? And secondly, why is it you're making an excuse for those who have crossed the floor and gone over to the PPP and selling its soul to the devil? Now, if you have a struggle and you're a committed
Caller,
PNCR,
in the interest of time, I said question. We'll make the comments after.
okay, yes. Well, it's a question I'm asking.
Well, you have asked your question, haven't you?
Why is it you defending? The second question is why is it he's defending those sinful souls that have gone over to the PPP and weakening the struggle for better life for Guyanese people? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Caller, you're on.
So let me. Oh, sorry.
Just so, Ganesh, let's take this final one and you adjust the two together, I guess. Caller, you're on.
Yes, good morning, MP Ganesh Naipol, and good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning to everyone in the Ghanaian diaspora. My name is Coffee, Mr. Ganesh Naipol. You know, they said that Leader Norton of the PNC was racist. And from what I've seen you and the way you have stood with
Coffee.
Mr. Norton.
Coffee.
Yes.
Question.
Oh, sorry. I didn't get that you were asking. Okay. Why do you believe that Leader Norton should be the next president? Why do you think he is the best candidate to lead this country forward? Thank you.
You have the mic, Ganesh.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the first caller when he said that why are we protesting now? First of all, he is very misinformed, and that is very sad. We have been having protest actions every Tuesday, as you know, Kadaki, in front of the GCOM office calling for a clean voters list and also calling for biometrics. And among those issues, we have also been highlighting other issues. So there he was not informed of such or doesn't know of such. And I hope that he will now, given that he knows, will show up and assist us in advocating and strengthening the protest line to call for biometrics and a clean voters list, among other issues, so that we can move in the direction of correcting that. Secondly, he asked as to why am I backing people who sold their souls and crossed over to the PPP. I am not backing them. Let's make it very, very clear. I may not agree with what they have done in terms of going over to the People's Progressive Party, but I will not engage in any form of cussing them out. That is what I'm saying. I will not engage in any form of cussing them out. And Kadaki, let me tell you something. We must realize that if and this is hypothetical, so please, I'm not asking anybody to use this against me. I am a strong PNCR member, have been there since 2008 and will continue to be there. I know no other political party and have no other interest in any other political party, but I can't stop my brother, biological, or my aunt or my uncle or my cousin or some relative of mine from having a different perspective and view as to my own. I will not engage in cussing them out if they have a different perspective or a different view from me. I will perhaps engage them in more constructive dialogue to show them that what they are doing and what they're engaged in is not beneficial to them and generally the country as a whole or the entire family. And if they're going to tell me that, you know what, they getting the daily bread from this body or the daily bread from the body, then I can't, if I can't argue against that and to show them that what they're doing is more hurtful to the bigger picture, then something is wrong with me as a politician. My point is, Kadaki, we must not engage in any cuss out and abuse down. We must engage in constructive dialogue to convince and to convey a message so that when they go and vote, they still know and appreciate that the PNCR, the APNU, AFC, the WPA, the whichever political party other than the PPP has people that are more genuine, more understanding, better at dialogue, and more convincing to us as a nation and have our interest at a greater level. And when we come into government, they will continue to benefit, but in a more genuine fashion, where they will not be used, abused, and refused because of their racial, because of their ethnicity, or because of their wanting for a publicity stunt. The optics of politics is important, and we have to understand where there is genuineness and where there is false hope. And in the PPP sense, in my view, they are basically using a few Afro-Guyanese and a few Amerindian Guyanese to paint a picture of inclusivity. When we know that there is no inclusivity, when we know that it's nothing else but falsehood, and we have to continue to speak out against that and not be focused on specific individuals and what they do. For God's sake, I still maintain it's a democracy. And we should not engage in any abuse out and cuss out of any particular individual, but call it out for what it is and look at it from the bigger picture to see that these people are being used, unfortunately. The
Why I
third
appreciate.
question,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
the third question was why I believe Aubrey Norton is going to be a better president than Irfan Ali, if I'm not mistaken, if that was the question. Now, I don't believe we should compare Aubrey Norton with the Almighty. We cannot compare Aubrey Norton with the Almighty because he is not equivalent to God. But we must compare him to the alternative. And the alternative is Irfan Ali. So we have to compare Aubrey Norton to Irfan Ali. First of all, Aubrey Norton is a qualified, well accomplished academic. He has studied and achieved all his qualifications in an honest mean. That alone is 10 out of 10 for him, and I can't say the same for Irfan Ali. Secondly, we have to understand that Aubrey Norton is not a racist. I said this umpteen times before, and I'm saying it again. Aubrey Norton in 2010 ran around this entire country, gallivanting from post to post, from as far as Molson Creek in the east, and as far as Mabaruma to the north, and as far as Lethem, and all these Amerindian villages in Region 9, advocating and advancing one particular man, one particular man that he believed in at that time, that he embraced, that he supported, and he ran helter-skelter for. And many of you may know, whilst many may not, that one man that he was pushing for to become president of this country is Winston Shripal Murray. Winston Murray is an Indian man. Indian ethnicity, has lighter skin than me, softer hair than me, and was one of the Indian strong arms of the PNCR that Aubrey Norton supported wholeheartedly. So to say Aubrey is racist is false. Secondly, Aubrey Norton went in, and I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble for saying this, but I will say it anyhow. I will deal with the repercussions after. Aubrey Norton went on an outreach in Pomeroon. And at that outreach, when he was engaging the Pomeroon residents and so on, there was a particular young man who Aubrey saw talent in. And I think he, at that time, was just a CXC student, completed CXC. And I think he did well at the CXC. And he engaged with Mr. Norton, but he was poor at the time and could not have afforded higher education and so on. Aubrey Norton embraced that young man, pushed that young man to his limit. And right now, that young man will soon acquire a doctorate in his academic life. And he is Riaz Rupnarain. And Riaz Rupnarain is of Indian ethnicity. Riaz Rupnarain has embraced Comrade Norton and has accepted that Comrade Norton was his mentor and his what you call it, the person who really you admire, that pushes you and you know have great respect for. Riaz is Indian, and Aubrey Norton did all of that for him. When I came into this political party, I came in as a follower of Winston Murray too. Later on, we moved on to Carl Greenwich because Winston passed away sadly. It was Mr. Norton who was encouraging to me, who was supportive, who has assisted in many times. And Mr. Norton has a very good relationship with many Indians and Amerindians and other people outside of Africans across the country. He is loved by his African community. He is loved by a lot of Indian people. He is loved by a lot of Amerindians because when they get to know him, they see a gentleman that is honest and decent. They don't see this false person that they see like what they see in Irfan Ali. Irfan is smiling, laughing, hugging, and kissing and all, and demonstrating this kind of dramatic, motivational way of trying to capture people into believing that he is down to earth. But those very people hand that he shakes, those very babies that he hugs, those very people that he embraces, has he ever sat down with them and engaged with them on how he can make their lives better? No, the people who he sits down with are big businessmen and big businesswomen. The people who he sits down with are rich people to make them richer. And he only uses the ordinary people for handshakes and for hugging sessions and for picture moments, optic politics, you call it. Aubrey is not false. Aubrey is not that kind of falsehood. Aubrey is genuine. Aubrey is supportive of the ordinary, hard-working, tax-paying Guyanese, and Aubrey wants to lift everybody equally in this country above where they are currently and make their lives better. And that is why I support Aubrey Norton for president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. I tried to put it there in a nutshell, Kadaki.
Thank you. You've certainly put it in a nutshell. I was about to say, I
want to say, let me reiterate what I said at the start. And I want this to resonate with people. Don't compare Aubrey Norton to the Almighty. Compare him to the alternative. Thank you.
Thank you. With regard to the caller who was asking why you're making excuses for those who've quote unquote jump ship, I totally agree that we don't necessarily have to be cussing them out. but I also am of the firm opinion we don't have to excuse their behavior. I just want to make that clear. We don't have to excuse their behavior. They must be able to defend their own behavior. I'm not going to be a mouthpiece to any of them that chooses
Yeah,
to.
but that's my point too, Kadaki, right? My fundamental in it was that we don't have a cuss out about, cussing them out. That was my fundamental about it.
Thank you. It's 18 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. The lines are still open because Ganesh is still here. So you can make your call and have your question. Note its question. Well, now that he's still here, we're wrapping up. Maybe if you have a comment, you can come through with it. I think he has answered a number of questions from you. I have a voice note. Let me play it.
All the MPs should be there with the chair turned back facing the jackass at the time of speech.
But we can't turn back the chairs, right? The chairs are there the chairs are stationary or formed there. It's that chair that you could lift up and turn.
Okay, they're fixed. Call A Life.
Yeah.
Pleasure to remind you, Brother Padaki, and your guest, Brother Ganesh. I must say, Brother Ganesh is one of those politicians. He come across as very energetic, right? He come across as very energetic. But I want to be very honest with Brother Ganesh. I want to be quick. I just have one simple question for Brother Ganesh. I want to say to Brother Ganesh that I believe that the parliamentary opposition has failed their supporters. Whatever was given to them, whatever amount of people just said that was given to the opposition, whatever votes they get, it, of course, it's a sizable amount, maybe over 200-something thousand. You will never know where the final count. But there is a large population who supports the opposition, the parliamentary opposition. And I must say to Brother Ganesh, who's a member of parliament, and he is here with his colleagues and his leader. I want to be very honest with them and say to him, despite what he may be saying, they would have failed their supporters.
Caller, you said that already. Why are you repeating yourself?
Hello?
Caller, you said that already. Why are you repeating yourself? In the interest of time, could we be, what was the word, concise?
Okay. Brother Ganesh, currently, the leader is saying that no, it's not a time to protest on the road. No, I will protest because of many reasons. And there are many other forms of protest. I want to ask, why is it in the face of the speaker who have been not too fair to the opposition side, but I think there is not enough pressure in the parliament, honest, lawful pressure in the parliament, to let the speaker know that you're not being fair. For example, when y'all give y'all presentation, y'all continue to say, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. And also I've observed that y'all have to go to a special podium to make the presentation. Why y'all don't make y'all presentation from the seat that y'all sit? I don't think that is illegal to make your presentation from where you sit, because there's mic every table of argument. Those are some of my comments. Why is it more pressure not being laid in the parliament? Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
All right, so let me tell the caller very quickly that the podiums were the lecterns. The two lecterns that you see there that you say are special that we go to, they were requested by MPs from both sides because it was difficult for them to stand at their seats. The desk is not comfortable. These chairs are not even comfortable. So they were requested. So it was requested of us to have that. And some MPs do speak from their seats. I am one who would normally speak from my seat sometimes. And then, like when I have long presentations to make, I would go at the podium. So that's a non-issue. Secondly, we say Mr. Speaker, and so on, because as I alluded to earlier, there is a sense of respect and decorum for the offices that are within there. We may not have that respect for Mansour Nadir, but we have the respect for the office, because there will come a time when, and in the near future, when someone from our side will be sitting there as speaker, because I am very optimistic that we will become the government of the day in 2025 when elections are called. And there must be that sense of decorum, that sense of respect, and that sense of honor for the respective offices. Not necessarily the individuals, but because they happen to be the holders at the time, you have to give the respect to the chair. So when you hear us saying, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, or Your Honor, the Speaker, we are really addressing the chair because the chair has to be respected. That's how parliamentary democracy, decorum, and respect for authority works in any democracy. And you can look at it from many other countries. It's not difficult. Just Google what happens in other countries too. The respect for the chair has to be there.
Ganesh, you mentioned MP, you mentioned the level of quote unquote discomfort in that current sitting or setting of the Artichoke Convention Center being used for parliamentary sittings. Why are those sittings continuing at the Artichoke Convention Center and have not been returned to the House of Assembly, as it were?
Kadaki, honestly, that's a question I would love to get an answer to also. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. I want to tell you that we do not subscribe and support us still being there at the Artichoke Conference Center. As you know, that comes at a cost. There is a building that we have there, the National Assembly, right at Stabrook. But I think the PPP is afraid of being so close to us because we are better debaters than them and we can basically distract them easier. So they're basically afraid of us, and that's why they have used the government authority to keep that order that was issued in place still to have it at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. But the sad reality is that those are authorities that lie with the government. So the government of the day has that they have that authority and ability to make those orders, which they did.
And is there no way the
Unfortunately,
opposition
those
can?
are unfortunately those are some of the ups and downs and the movements that exist in a system that we have. That if you that the system that we have as our parliamentary democracy and our country as a democratic state. Remember, it was all birthed out of the Westminster system. So all of these things are matters that are being examined though. Let me tell you that the Constitution Reform Commission has been meeting and we are going to put our schedule in play very soon. And all of these are things that we will examine on how to address and how to move away and how to fix as we deal with constitution reform.
Thank you. I have a voice note. I'll play it and then you'll respond and wrap up, please. Thank you.
Good morning, Kadaki and Comrade Mary Paul. If you may recall, the last time when the President addressed Parliament, they locked the parliamentarians out of Parliament. Should that happen tomorrow, how do the opposition plan to treat with such a situation?
Hardy questions, sir?
Yeah, I was thinking in my head that the response has to be that to the question is what I'm trying to fashion it correctly because I can't provide answers to these questions in an honest way right now because it will be like me giving out it's like it is like me will be telling our enemies what to expect us to react to.
Okay,
So
time will tell.
yes, time will tell. That's the best way to say it. But I love the excitement, Kanaki, of the viewers, of the listeners, and how involved they are. And you know, I can understand them wanting the answers directly, but they have to also understand that providing the answers can implicate our measure, our moves, and our means of surprising the enemy. You don't go to battle and tell them how much gun you have. You don't go to battle and tell them what kind of guns you have. And you don't go to battles and tell them how many ammunitions you have.
But at least you have to indicate to your soldiers that you're going to battle.
Exactly. And
And
I
in this
did that.
instance,
I
the
would like to
people are
believe
your
I did
soldiers.
that. I would like to
Pardon?
believe I did indicate that we are going to battle. I like to believe I did indicate that we have ammunitions, we have guns, and we have methods or artilleries or whatever you want to call it. But it's sad that I can't tell you how much of what. And please don't interpret that in its literal sense. I
I was
meant it.
about to say, let us make it clear it's figurative.
It's figurative, right? It's very figurative. So please.
Let me take time out at this time. It's 8 minutes to the 9 o'clock. I want to wish a very special lady a happy birthday. Deborah Ramsey. Deborah celebrated her birthday early in the week. I know she did some fun things. Not that I forgot you, Deborah, but sometimes, the opportunity doesn't present itself at the opportune time. But let me say, I wish you many more milestones, long life, and continue to do just what you do and look as great as you are and enjoy life as you do with your, what should I say, ride or die, Shalom. Have a great day, both of you. Ganesh, I did ask you to wrap up. It's 8 minutes to 9. Anything you have to say in closing?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on the program. I appreciate the time we spent together here, and I appreciate your viewership, the questions, and the comments. And I would like to appeal to our people to stay connected, stay informed, stay informed on current affairs, and at the right time, participate in the elections and ensure that you encourage people to participate also. The best and only the means that is afforded to us as a democratic state, as a sovereign state, into legally and properly removing the People's Progressive Party from government is through regional and general elections. And we must hold strain. Long time done, short time left. And we got to take part and ensure that we unseat them from government so that we can continue to embrace and build this nation for the better of the people, the younger generation especially. Thank you very much, Kadaki, and do have a pleasant rest of the day.
Thank you, Ganesh, for sharing your time with us, and you have a pleasant rest of the day too. I wish you success in your endeavors.
Thank you.
Dennis Ashbell, is why you're picking a fight. We're all in the same fight together, Dennis. Whether it's Nigel Hughes or Aubrey Norton or David Hines or whoever, we got to marshal our forces to deal with the PPP. Right? We have to marshal our forces to deal with the PPP. It's 6 minutes to the 9 o'clock, or you tune to the Guyanese morning time. As usual, sometimes we have bills to pay, so let me pay some bills. Bingo.
It's the PNCR fundraising bingo on Sunday, the 27th of October at Congress Place of Fire from 2 p.m. Over $5 million to be won. There will be 20 straight games at $100,000 per game. 3 letter games at $200,000 per game. 3 coverall games at $1 million per game. Tickets are $6,000. 1 ticket gets you 6 playing cards. Remember, it's the PNCR Big Fundraising Bingo on Sunday, the 27th of October at Congress Place of Fire from 2 p.m.
And you all remember to support your people.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here.
Shut him out and wait. Yes, I was saying, do remember to support. Continue to send your financial contributions to the Zelle, 8623735187 in the name of you at donor. That's your way of supporting the continuous programming of CAMS TV. Last night I was talking with one of my former students. I do acknowledge when I get advice, and I was told that, Mr. Amsterdam, you should get somebody, a doctor in particular, to come and talk to your viewers about health. And so if there's any doctor out there who would like to engage us on the platform, we're going to set a time slot for you. I don't know, we can call it doctor on call, we can call it the community doctor, we can call it all kinds of things. But if there's any doctor out there who has the time, whether local or international, that can come and share some health tidbits with us once a week, I would welcome that. Please and thank you. Right? Please and thank you. So I'm waiting. Also, because you know human rights is caught up in legality and so on, and a lot of people allow themselves to be abused and take a lot of things as they are, believing that they can't do much to help themselves because they really don't know the law. Anyone who is versed in the law, a lawyer especially, you're welcome, and so we can program you to educate our people in the law, right? Especially human rights law, especially the laws of Ghana, because a lot of us citizens of this country might not even have an inkling of what the Constitution provides for us as citizens of this country, right? Good. So I'm putting it out there. Those of you who have the know it all, the wear it all, I would like to partner with us at CAMS TV to share that knowledge. I do appreciate it, and you can make contact with us. You know the number, 6225933 is the number to call, or WhatsApp at any time.
So today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongue, you're looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, mwah. Listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work. But everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Nam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you.
Cecile, I think you're in my head. Why are you in my head? Yes, Cecile, I was thinking exactly that Dr. Anderson would be a good resource person to contact, and so I will make contact with him and ask him whether or not he has the time and is allowed to, because I think he works with a public hospital. Yes, tomorrow is karaoke night at Club Twilight, so let me remind you to come down to karaoke night at Club Twilight tomorrow, right? Dennis Atwell, I don't know what's wrong with you this morning. Why are you calling people ugly, sir? Don't you think you yourself are facially challenged? Stop it. Please and thank you. Stop. Right? Behave by yourself. Remember, yes, that on the 1st of November, we have short skirts and pants at Club Twilight. Club Twilight is presenting short skirts and pants on the 1st of November. It's a soca party, and it features Trinidad Madman and DJ Alliance out of Trinidad. Good comes audio, disco baby, singer man, one-man band. Lots to eat and drink and so on. Of course, you have hookah and you have cocktails and so on and so forth. 1st of November, bring out the queen and left the machine. Yes, on the 1st of November, short pants and skirts. Comedy is going to return to Club Twilight the last Friday of this month. Every last Friday of the month, we're trying to bring comedy to you. So those of you who did not get to participate the last time through the Zoom, you can start putting your $5 aside so you can get to participate next time around through the Zoom, right? Those of you who are in the Zoom the last time, I would welcome your feedback so you can guide me as to what wasn't optimum and what we can do to improve your experience. Good. It's a minute past the 9 o'clock hour, and it's time for me to go because there are lots of other things that I have to get accomplished. Do have a safe day. Stay well. Feel free to message me if there's anything urgent. Message me, right? Message me. Have a good day, y'all. Goodbye. Much love. Tomorrow, Winston Jordan is likely to be on. Bye-bye.